Hello, everybody. It is Matt, and it is Maniac Monday, and I am back at you with yet another review. Before I roll on to any of that, I want to wish each and every one of you a great morning, evening, dawn, day, or dusk, all that lovely stuff, because life really is too short as is. Do me a really huge favor and like, share, and subscribe. I love seeing your beautiful faces when I am here. I know it's an awful lot, but I have an awful lot on my plate to review. And one last little tidbit of information, check out the description box. I gave you your brief synopsis, your starring cast, your directors, your runtime of the cut I am watching, along with a link for a trailer, a link for where you can purchase this bad boy, and if you decide, you can help support the channel and toss me a couple of bucks, and it goes towards anything towards Matt's Movie Mania. So with all that said in mind, let's get on to the film of the day. And today's film is an interesting one. It wasn't necessarily as good as part 3, which I've only seen part 1 and part 3. I will be reviewing part 2 next month. But it is none other than Horrortales.666. It is a very interesting little anthology film. It runs 5 stories, 6 stories if you count the wraparound. The wraparound is starring none other than Joel D. Wynkoop, which you guys should all know him from lots and lots of great B-movie films that he has done throughout the years. It is directed, and it also had one of the segments is directed by Phil Herman, and he also is the star in it. Which the basically what the setup is Joel D. Wynkoop is a cat burglar, and he is out at night, and he's getting ready to go hit his latest score. And his latest score happens to be writer Larry Fine. Yes, I said Larry Fine. Yes, of Three Stooges fame. Not the same Larry Fine. But anyways, he has broken into Larry's house, and he has found these files that file 666, and he decides he's going to go check out the computer, and he starts reading file 666. And in each story, there is a different outtake and a different horrible fate that happens upon each and every one of each tale. The first segment is about a man who keeps getting these weird feelings that he is being watched, that he's being touched. Water is being turned on randomly at his house. He keeps having these weird nightmares of this woman. And eventually you find out that he has killed this woman, and it was his ex-wife, and he killed her for $20,000. And that is basically that story. The second story, you have a guy who is out, who is a reporter who is out trying to find out who this serial killer is that has laid waste to many a victim in this small scenic town. He is always there at the wrong place at the wrong time. Eventually he meets up with this killer, and in that segment, the killer does end up killing our investigator. I know I'm going to be giving away a lot of spoilers with this one, but that's the only way I can really see a good positive review of doing is with spoilers, because it is an anthology, and the stories are so short. This movie only runs at an hour and 2 minutes long, so it's just an hour long. It's a really short movie. In segment 3, you are basically you meet this guy that who you can tell is going through a lot of hard turmoil. You find out that he has killed his wife and his baby, and he has buried them, and that is basically the whole story of that. And he is having visions and hearing auditory hallucinations of his victims, all for money. That's all he did it for, was for money. That's it's a pretty basic. Each and every one of the stories in this film are so basic and very easy to follow that I think that anybody could really watch this and understand what's going on, because it is so easy and basic. And then you roll on to story number 4. And story number 4, if I remember correctly, that was the prostitute is going over to a John's house, and she finds out that that he is not the well, first off, you start off with a lovely shower scene with her, and then she tries on this very, 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 very tight-fitting rubber latex looking nurse's outfit, which she puts on, and she goes over to her John's house, which she notices right away something is wrong. She mentions like, oh, hey, I thought you described to me you were only 5'8". This guy is well over 6 foot. Big guy. And then she does a little striptease for him, and then he eventually comes out, oh yeah, I'm definitely not the guy you were sent here for, and he kills her. Very interesting story. And then story number 5, what was story number 5? Story number 5 was pretty forgettable, to be quite honest. It was it's nothing that I really feel like was that great. Overall, this movie is not my favorite Phil Herman film. I had a really hard time with it. The audio is very bad on the cut that I watched. It is very slow. Some of the stories are a little dull in places. I don't like to give negative reviews, so I'm not going to give a negative review on this. This is far from a negative movie. It's perfect for Halloween, in my opinion. I want to watch part 2 and rewatch part 3. Just the stark contrasts between part 1 and part 3 are just so different, because Joel Wynkoop's character is done so like almost serious like in the first one. In part 3, he is so like silly and off the wall and bizarre and just like kind of a cowardly kind of person. So it's weird to go from one aspect to the other. And then in between each segment, Joel is introducing each segment, reading them off of the screen. Granted, it's Joel doing his best I would say serious work, because he's not, I don't look at Joel and go, oh, that's a serious actor. That is a B-movie actor that does awesome movies. I don't look at him and say, oh yeah, that's our next Jack Nicholson, or that's our next Dustin Hoffman, or that's our next Ryan Gosling, or anything like that. He is not our big I mean, he is our big name talent in this movie, along with Julie Strain and a bunch of other gals that I have recognized throughout other films in here. It also has Phil Herman in here, and it also has a lovely Alan Smithee credit on here, which, if any of you know anything of the Alan Smithee credit, Alan Smithee is a credit that a lot of directors and filmmakers will use when they put their name on when they don't want to put their real name on something, when they're basically embarrassed by it and they don't feel like it is up to their degree of work. So there's an Alan Smithee on here. So that lets you know what kind of level of B movie this is going to be. It is not crap. It is good. It is definitely something I'm happy that I got to see. I'm happy that Phil sent it my way. I look forward to part 2. Like I said, I'm gonna rewatch part 3. I just feel like this one was just not as good as part 3 is. I feel like part 3 has a lot going on for it. Granted, it is 20 years difference. Excuse me. Because this was like 2003, 2002, I believe, when this was made. So it's like 20 years ago. So a lot of it is very aged and very dated. But it is still, like I said, it is not a bad movie. This is not a negative review. I don't do negative reviews. Now, on to my 3 things that I like my movies to meet. Audio, this thing is definitely, I can tell that maybe it was just the copy that I have, because it's a burned copy that Phil sent me. I imagine that maybe if a remastered copy was out there, the sound might be much better, much better. But as far as the quality of what I watched, the audio was just not very good at all. I originally intended to watch it in my laptop. I had to take it out because it kept freezing up in there, and the audio was cutting in and out so bad that I couldn't understand what was being said. So I went and rewatched the entire thing on my Blu-ray player. And granted, the audio was much better, but still, it was very iffy in places where it cuts in and out. I don't know if it's just degradation over time, poor quality of the DVD, or just needs a good old-fashioned remastering. I think that's probably the case. It just needs a good old-fashioned remastering. So I'm going to give it a B on as far as audio. That is, it's not going to be bad to the point to where it affects the movie to where I dislike it, but it definitely affected it to the point to where I got myself frustrated the first time trying to watch it. I was getting very angry. So going back and rewatching it was the smartest idea for me to do. Now on to dialogue. Dialogue is where the bread and butter is in this. It has fun dialogue. It always has something fun or interesting to say in each of the segments. I wanted more of Julie Strain's character. She plays Larry Fine's book publicist. She is in a couple of the segments in between each of the stories segments that she's in the wraparound segment a couple of the times, and I would have loved to had more of her, because Julie Strain, rest in peace. She was just an absolute, just a vixen, an amazing piece of talent, and she will be forever missed. So I'm going to give this thing an A on dialogue. So it has a B and an A. So now on to editing. Editing is good. It doesn't have any weird like jump cuts in it that don't make sense. I didn't notice any like funky continuity errors or anything along those lines. So I'm going to give it A on editing. So because editing is one of the hardest jobs in filmmaking, in my opinion, just because it is so stressful and so monotonous, and it takes forever to do. So it's got a B, an A, and an A. So on the 1 through 5 scale, I'm going to give this thing a 3 out of 5. It could have been better, could have been way worse. It's like I said, not my favorite Phil Herman piece. Burglar from Hell still remains as my absolute favorite from him. Jacker is great. Horrortales.666 Part 3 is a lot of fun. I think Phil is a very good filmmaker. I can't wait for I Slay on Christmas, which I will be reviewing that and the Owens Brothers next month. So look forward for both of those, as well as Horrortales.666 Part 2. So we're going to be having some Phil Herman time next month, so that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah. All right, guys, I can't wait to see it tomorrow. Tomorrow I got Things with a Z lined up from Joe Sherlock, and then we'll start off the month with where did I put my list? Is this my list? It's my list with Remnants, and then Death Blow from Chris Leto. And then we go to Cibo de Valencia, and then Blood for Blood, Violated, and then we do some White Gardenia. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We got 2 different White Gardenias coming up next month. So definitely look out for some super extreme, hardcore, cringy stuff. And I hope all of you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, love your faces and peace.